This is the Two Bald Guys Sports Podcast. Bald heads, bold takes. Now, here are your hosts, Adam and Tony.
Welcome back. I'm Adam.
I'm Tony.
Tony, I am one happy camper here. The Michigan Wolverines are the national champion in college basketball. Yeah. We talked about it a little bit last year. Like we said, I know we concentrate on football more, but I got to give a shout out to my Wolverines for winning the national championship over UConn on Monday night. First championship for Michigan since 1989 in basketball, and first Big Ten national championship in basketball since 2000.
Yeah, I think that statistic, the fact that the Big Ten hasn't won a national title in basketball in that long, because you think of the programs in the Big Ten, Ohio State, Michigan, of course, Purdue's been good for several years. And then, of course, Indiana's like the, traditional basketball school there in the Big Ten. Not to mention you have teams like Oregon and UCLA and USC now that are in the Big Ten. So it's kind of surprising. But, yeah, congrats to your Michigan. You have now seen a football national champion and a basketball national champion within like a span of like 3 years. So good for you. Congratulations. But yeah, live it up.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I know there's a lot of schools that would be excited, or fans would be excited about their team doing it. Absolutely. So before we get into what I want to talk about for a second, if I told you, let's just say even 2 years ago, that Michigan and Indiana would win national championships in the same year in the major sports, basketball and football, would you believe me if I said Michigan basketball, Indiana football?
No, I would believe Michigan basketball way before Indiana football. So I would say that's never going to happen. Definitely not in the same year, and definitely probably not in my lifetime. But here we are. I watched the first half of that game. Of course, it didn't start till almost 9 o'clock, and my bedtime's just barely after 10. So I watched the first half. At least it was entertaining because Michigan had been blowing people out, and I was afraid it was going to happen again. But UConn kind of hung in there, but Michigan really I don't think was ever really in danger from what I saw.
No, the first half, yeah. UConn definitely did what they needed to do to win the game. They played ugly. They played tough. Yep. And people were all about, the refs won that game for Michigan. Well, you know what? It goes back to, you could do this in football too. UConn was one of the most, had some of the most fouls in
all season
during the tournament. All season. Yep. That's how they played. That's how they had to get away with. They played rough. They try and get away with it. You do that. I think people all do that. Like, if you're an offensive lineman and they're not calling holding, guess what you're going to do a lot?
Start holding.
You're going to hold, right? If they let you get away with some of that stuff, you're going to do it. So, I don't blame UConn for doing that, but they sit there and everybody's like, "Oh, the refs were horrible. They gave that game to Michigan." Stop. Michigan was just a better team. If you can't honestly say that Michigan was a better team this year, then you weren't really watching college basketball. But You know what? Congratulations. I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty psyched. Yeah, 2 national championships in a 3-year stretch. I'm pretty sure you as an Oklahoma fan would like that.
Oh, all day long. Really, I'm just sitting over here as an Oklahoma fan, hoping my Sooners football team can make the playoff and have a chance. Their basketball team had a really bad year this year. They've been decent in the last maybe 5 years. They've had a decent program there. But right now I'm just living off college softball. Oklahoma softball, they're going to possibly break their home run record. That's really the only sport right now that Oklahoma has really got me excited about. So football is competing. So we'll see. But yeah, I would love to be in your spot where, your Michigan Wolverines are starting to dominate in not only football, but now basketball as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the question, that everybody's got to kind of say now is it the Big Ten world and everybody's just living in it right now?
Well, we talked about this in football, and the SEC in football specifically had been dominant for a long time. And in basketball, the ACC seems to be a powerhouse with teams like Kansas every once in a while, and then a random Big Ten team making a run, for every once in a while. But the ACC, even SEC teams, Florida won it last year. But right now, the Big Ten is taking a hold of the 2 major sports, football and basketball, and they're running the show because you have teams like Purdue making a deep run. Illinois was in the Final Four. You have, and then of course Michigan win it. You have these teams from the Big Ten. Whatever they're doing in football and in basketball, it's working. Whether it's NIL stuff or transfer portal, it's working. So teams need to pay attention and go, what are these guys doing? Because the Big Ten right now is going to take over both those sports if people don't wake up.
Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of weird to say this, but the Big Ten won the women's national championship too because UCLA is in that. They won their first national championship, so they've won the football,
you're
women's basketball, men's basketball, and
I think
and they have the number one team. Yeah, the gymnastics is pretty good. Wrestling, with Penn State is unbelievable, and then you also have. Michigan and Wisconsin are in the ice hockey, Final Four.
Oh,
so, it is Michigan is doing something. I mean, not Michigan. The Big Ten is doing something right now.
Yep.
Like they are really, really good. And I think, what do you think's made the change so much? I mean, we've talked about this a little bit. Do you think it had to do with the NIL and they can kind of start paying players now? Do you think that had to do with it? Do you think that's the difference in why all of a sudden the Big Ten now is starting to compete and win these championships?
I mean, the NIL is a part of it for sure. The transfer portal is a huge part of it. But I think, and just look at the football and basketball national champion. You have coaches. What, both of them? Your Michigan coach was his name May or whatever. He's in his
Dusty
May. He's in his second season with Michigan, and Kirk Cignetti at Indiana, second season. So these are guys that are good coaches, but they're getting players that fit their system, and they don't have to go through recruiting the traditional way. They can pick up guys from other teams and put together a team that plays well together and works in that coach's system. All right, before you had to just recruit freshmen and hope that they worked out for you. Now you can go get a sophomore or junior from somewhere else that, hey, that guy's going to plug into my system really nice. He might not be the best player on another team, but he's going to fill a spot on my team that really helps me, and they're figuring it out. So I'm going to start with the coaches, giving them credit and that staff for picking the right guys to fit their system to go out and win games, because that's what they're doing. NIL helps, but if you talk about money, Texas has got tons of money. I mean, Florida's got tons of money. California's got tons of money, So, but those teams are competing, but they're not winning.
Yeah, the Big Ten has definitely hit home runs with their two hires. I know they're going to say Michigan, Indiana, which is obvious.
Yeah.
But they hit home runs. Like Michigan, It's a home run hire for them in basketball. And for Indiana with Cignetti, it's a home run hire. And, now with – I will say I agree, and I'll get to the transfer portal in a second. I think with the NIL money and be able to do that stuff, they're able to kind of level the playing field. Like Indiana can now like pony up a little bit. Do they have some guys that want to give money? And now all of a sudden, listen, Indiana doesn't have the history of an Alabama, or Michigan doesn't have the history of North Carolina in basketball. Right. They don't have that history, but now the money's there and it levels a playing field. And now you get the coaches in and go into the transfer portal part of it. Like, you can sit here and whine and complain, and people are doing that right now about Michigan because all 5 of their starters didn't start with Michigan, right?
Yep.
But let's go through their guys here for a second, right? Ade Amara came from UCLA, didn't play much. Morez Johnson was kind of pigeonholed into a spot at Illinois, didn't play a ton. Elliot Cadeau, they couldn't run him out of North Carolina fast enough. Like Murray Burnett's been with Michigan for a couple of years, and then Yaxel Lindenberg. UAB's coaches basically said, hey, listen, we've done about as much as we can for you here. We will help you get to a bigger program because we think that's going to help you. Like UAB's coaches said that. So like, do you fault a kid that's in that spot? We're talking basketball right now, but like in football or anything like that, that's at a lower level and have played their way up, and now they can go to a big time school and get more recognition, because you can say what you want that a level of playing field, but still, UAB compared to Michigan, on the basketball court or these other places, you're going to get more money, more notice there. So like, you have to find those guys, and do you really fault those guys for leaving? Now, should they be able to leave as much as they want? That's a debate. We've had our arguments about that, but right now that's the way where you're at. So there's other teams that brought in as many transfer players as Michigan did in basketball, and I'm sure they did for Indiana in football. So are you really mad they brought in transfer portals, or are you mad their coaches did a better job with those guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what people are mad about. People are mad about the transfer portal is building the coaches are building better teams than their coach, because, like I said, the coaches know what players they want to fit their system. And I guarantee you, I could go and you could let me take as many people from the transfer portal, and I'm not winning a national championship at any big school in basketball because I don't know the game. I don't know the game that well. And like you said, the guys that they're taking are guys that other teams aren't using, or that doesn't fit their system well enough, or they think they're going to develop. Well, the coach for Michigan is going, I can use that guy right now. He can be my guy. This is where he fits into my offense. This is how we play defense. He fits into, and that is the world we're living in right now, is you pick the guys out that can fit into your system and you can coach. You still have to coach. You still have to put a team out there. The guys have to get along. They have to have chemistry on that basketball court. So say what you want about the transfer portal and NIL, and you and I have talked about it, whether we like it or not. It has pros and cons, but it's the system we have, and you have to kind of deal with it. And I just wish my coach at Oklahoma would, figure it out a little bit. I mean, Oklahoma was competitive at some point, so there's like times where you look at them and go, wow, maybe they have some talent, and then there's other times you're like, well, they're awful. So coaches are doing it right, and the good coaches are winning with it.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you can sit here and whine and complain and do all this stuff, and I understand people's complaints. We've had some of those complaints. We've talked about it. We've talked about it numerous times about it. But you can sit there and complain, or you can do something about it. And right now, like you said, the best coaches are doing something about it, and they figured it out. Yep. And whether you like it or not, that is the world we live in. I mean, for a while there, freshmen couldn't play. Remember? I mean, this is back when you were, in college and stuff like that.
Here we go. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but, for a while there, freshmen couldn't play, right? So eventually freshmen could play, right? And so are you mad that that coach all of a sudden finds freshmen that can play? That's the rule they're in right now, right? So were you mad at Kentucky for finding all these one and dones, but they were just doing what they were doing in basketball? Like, what are you really mad at? Are you mad that they're winning with those guys? Or are you mad because it's not your team doing it? And I think that's really what it comes down to. It's not your team doing it. So now you got to find a reason why it's not right for somebody else to do it. And that's what they're doing with Michigan. And Michigan didn't do anything wrong. Like, if you want to talk about the football national championship and the sign stealing, we can get into that. And there's some rule bending and breaking with that. We've talked about that too. But in basketball right now, they did nothing wrong. They pay guys like you could with NIL. Yep. They got transfer portals. All that stuff was legit. Nothing was wrong. But they want to talk about Dusty tampering with guys. And I think you never heard about it. If you're going to talk about Dusty tampering, why would you talk about that in the off season before the season started? Oh, correct. Dusty brought all these guys in, but he was tampering with guys. No, they didn't start until Michigan was like 27-1 and rolling through the Big Ten. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, Dusty was openly tampering. Well, it's filled with the X line, the Twitter line, whatever you want to call it, the feed. All these people are like, well, just trust me. Trust you. It's widely known. Okay, prove it. There's no proof. And one guy even goes, I don't need to do the research for you. You do it for you. So basically, you don't have proof. Like, if you have proof, prove it. And if Dusty really tampered, then prove it. Somebody prove it, right? But until that happens, it's just a bunch of hearsay. So it goes to the point,
Yeah. And to your point, let's talk about Nebraska basketball. Nebraska basketball was not good. I think they won the NIL when I was in high school, and that was like the highlight. Nebraska basketball was very good this season, very competitive, made a decent run, further than they've ever made before. Nobody's talking about them tampering. Nobody's talking or questioning that program because they didn't win a national title. It's always when you win, we're going to start saying, well, how'd they win? Something must have been wrong. No way they could have just done this. So Nebraska basketball is a great example. And like you said, nobody talked about Michigan until there were 27, 28 games into the season. So come to me 5 games into the season if you think there's something suspicious, or go to a program like Nebraska and tell me that they're doing something wrong, because that Nebraska program has been bad for so long. And now they just made this crazy run. Good for them. I know people who listen to the show. No, I'm not a big Husker fan on the football field, but I do root for their basketball team. I do root for their baseball team. I do root for their volleyball team, because I am from there. But the Nebraska football fans have ruined football for me. But anyway, that's beside the point. But back to it. We're like you said, they're only concerned about it because Michigan won. If Michigan lost, nobody would say a word.
Right. Exactly. And you know what? I get, when the whole sign stealing thing came out, about Michigan. I think they could have probably come out with it sooner, but they came out with it and they had proof. They had their proof, whether it was real proof, but they had something credible behind it a little bit. Yep. And we can, like we said, we've argued about this, and I don't really want to get into that, but they had something there. There's nothing there, and so like you sit there and you're like, you're just mad about it, but nobody wants to talk about the year before. Florida had like 4 transfers on their team. They won the national championship. Right. Indiana had a ton of transfers on their team for football, and they won, and they were old too. Like, but the thing is, if they have eligibility and they are not doing anything wrong, you can blame COVID, you can blame, having these extra years for graduate school, whatever. Right. But are they breaking any rules? Are these guys not eligible? As far as I know, they're all eligible, right? So if they're eligible, who can? I mean, I know why they care, but what is? Oh well, yeah, they bought this team. They didn't. You know what? That's the world you live in.
Right.
Accept it, or you don't work. That's why some of these coaches have moved on. They don't want to deal with it, and that's fine. If you don't want to deal with it, then don't coach anymore. That's fine. But Dusty May's like, it's the world we live in. So either adapt or die. Not literally die, but basically adapt or you're not gonna be good, right?
Yeah, I mean, Nick Saban got out, and I don't think he pulled any punches. He's not a huge fan of the NIL. He's not a huge fan of the transfer portal because Nick Saban was a guy that could get top players and he could develop them, and they would stay at Alabama, and he could work with them for a couple years, and then he would have juniors and seniors that were loaded that had been working under his system for a couple years. That's not the case anymore. So he's one of the best coaches, maybe the best coach ever. But this new era of recruiting and transfer portal NIL does not fit his style as well. So you know what? He's like, I have 7 national championships. I'm good. I'm going to get out right now. But the coaches right now that are winning, they have figured it out. They have got this transfer portal thing down. The NIL money is coming in, and they're putting together winning programs. And I think, and you can, chime in on this if you want, but I think we're going to see different teams. I mean, we already saw it in college football, but different teams year in, year out. It's going to be way more difficult to predict who's going to win the national title or be in it because of this. Teams are going to come out of nowhere almost like Indiana does. I'm not saying Michigan came out of nowhere, but we're going to start seeing teams come out of nowhere a little bit. And I don't know if you like it that or not. I'm not a huge fan of it yet, but it's the world we live in.
It is a world we live in, and I think it's the parity that you kind of like. I mean, there's part of it. Yeah, there's part of it that you're like, oh yeah, I would. I mean, let's be honest. You would love Oklahoma to go on a 10-year run where they won everything. I would love it if Michigan did too. But on the flip side, I'm happy Alabama won't go on a 10-year run of just winning everything over and over again. And all these other teams. So it gives. I feel like it gives your team more of a shot at the beginning of the year where you feel like, because let's be honest, when Saban was there with Alabama and he was rolling for like that 5-year stretch, I might know he won more than that. That 5-year stretch, you're like, Alabama's going to be there. Alabama's going to be at the top.
Yep. And
we're just trying to get them on the worst day, and we play our best and we beat them. Right. I mean, so you felt kind of helpless at times, but the SEC was running it for a while there too. And we, like I said, we can argue were they actually playing players at the time or not, but I think I like that part of it where you can, it levels the playing field, and now, you have a shot. I mean, we saw the Indiana run coming a little bit this year because of the year before. And Michigan played better last year with that Dusty May. So, there was a thought, but his team was basically a brand new team this year. So you just don't know. But I think as a fan, there's part of you that likes to see a guy, stay with Michigan, stay with Oklahoma, stay with Alabama, Florida, wherever you're at.
Right.
And you get to know them and they stay there. Or you can just understand, hey, listen, I'm still rooting for my school. I'm rooting for my coach, and he's going to put the best product he can up there. And I mean, it goes back. I go back, when Calipari was at Kentucky, that dude was running out basically a different team every year because he recruited 5 one-and-doners every year. They would go to the NBA. He was a new team every year.
Yeah.
But nobody screamed then. Well, you know what? It's a new team this year. Well, how is that any different than if he started a different school? I mean, yeah, he was at a different school last year. It was a high school, but it was still a brand new team almost every year, right? Like, I mean, really, if you think about it, what is the difference? What is the difference between that and having 5 guys from different schools? I mean, really, seriously, what's the difference?
Well, I think the other part is Michigan doesn't have, they have good players, but they don't have like a Zion Williamson or, there's a guy from Michigan State that's really flashy and really good. Like, they don't have that guy, but they play team basketball. They have the size. They have they play just great. They have team chemistry out there. They got the right people in the right positions. And I think people are like, well, they don't have like a guy that just goes up there and he's flashy and he shows off and he, shoots 3-pointers, 20 of them a game or whatever. So people are like, oh, I don't want to see that. But that's what you're going to start seeing. You're going to see good coaches put together good teams. And you're right. It doesn't matter if they played the team the year before or not, because like you said, Kentucky was bringing in freshmen from high school.
Yeah.
Would play a year or two, and then they're gone in the NBA. And Kentucky would make a run too. You always knew Kentucky was going to be great because of that. It's just a different version of it is all. But it's not NBA players like, he was recruiting at Kentucky. It's just guys that want to be noticed and guys that play well in different systems other than the Dukes and the North Carolinas. Like, Cooper Flagg's not out there on the Michigan court. So people are like, oh, can't believe these guys are winning. These are guys that the coach put together as part of a great basketball team. And they lost 2-3 games all season, and they won a national title. Three games. So there you go.
I mean, you really look at it, and isn't that what, at the end of the day, if you're a fan of it, the football team, I know we've talked a little bit more basketball here, but at the end of the day, if you're a fan of your college, don't you want to watch a team that is unselfish, that loves to play together, and is having fun and winning games?
Right.
And I know as Michigan, and obviously it's a little bit, on my team, but I would tell people this too, and I would have told you too, like it was so much fun watching this team play this year because they really didn't care who was getting the points and who was the star of that game.
Right.
Like we had a 5-star freshman on the bench, coming off the bench, and he hit a big shot in the national championship game was key. Like Yaxel Lindenberg was a Big Ten player of the year, and I think he averaged 14 points. Everybody's like, oh, you can't be Big Ten player of the year scoring 14 points. Why not? Why can't you be if you're that important to your team and you help run that team? Like that's what you should want. If you are really caring about your school, you should want a team like this that loves to play each other and goes out and wins games. Like, right? I mean, there's such a big parallel between Michigan and Indiana this year. But you say the same thing, too, about Indiana. Yeah, Mendoza won the Heisman, but is he one of the most unassuming Heisman players you've ever seen in your life?
Oh, if somebody didn't watch any football and you look at statistically the Heisman winners over the last, say, 5 years, and you're looking at Joe Burrow and you're looking at Mendoza and you're looking at Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, like you're looking at all these quarterbacks and you're going, how did that guy win the Heisman with those stats? It's because when you put him on the field, Indiana doesn't win without the guy. And that's the difference right there, is because he was part of that team and he was the perfect quarterback for that football team. And, I'm just thinking about this now. I don't know how many juniors or seniors are on that Michigan team, but you have a kind of a core group there that, unlike Kentucky that would send guys off to the NBA after a year or two, you might get a couple of years out of this Michigan team because you took in guys that weren't getting chances at other schools. So I hope that's the case. That actually is would be nice.
Yeah, they are going to lose a few guys. Yaxel is a senior; he's gone. But their two big guys could come back if they want to, or they could go to the NBA.
Right.
But yeah, they could run the team back. But the thing is, and that's the thing. Like Dusty did a really good job in Cignetti in Indiana with the football of just getting guys that fit what he wanted to do and the type of player he wanted. And I think that's the biggest thing right now. Is we're giving him money, and I understand that, but like all these people are like, I mean, you should have seen, at the beginning of the year, they're like, these are the guys that Michigan thinks are going to win a national championship. Get out of here. Like everybody was dogging it. And then once Michigan was 27-1 or 30-1 or whatever, won the Big Ten, everybody's like, oh, they just pulled in 5 All-Stars. I'm like, wait a minute. You can't have it both ways.
All-Stars.
You can't say that these guys are horrible and then all of a sudden they're great. But I mean, it's just the thing, like that's the coach you want in some of these, deal with it. Like, are you going to lose guys to the transfer portal this year? Absolutely. Sure. Guys are going to leave. Every team, guys are going to leave. You could be national champion, and I haven't heard of anybody leaving Michigan yet, but I guarantee somebody probably goes in the portal. But in college football, I'm sure somebody left Indiana. They just won a national championship, right? People are going to leave in the portal, so you can either resist it or just understand it's going to happen until something changes and adapt to it. And the ones that are doing it are going to be really successful. The ones that want to, people, if we can't go any further than Clemson, if we want to talk about this, because you think the Clemson fans are a little bit pissed off at Dabo right now because he wants to refuse to go in the transfer portal. Listen, it's there. Like it or not, it's there.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of when you were talking about trying to fight the transfer portal, because he has fought it for the last few years and it's not working out for him because he has that old school mentality a little bit, which is fine and it works and he's still a good coach. But the players and the teams that he can put out on the field are just they don't have the same chemistry, and players are not in the right positions or maybe don't fit his system as much as they used to because he's fighting that transfer portal. But Clemson's the perfect example because now you have a Kirk Cignetti winning a lot of games and a national title, and you have a Dabo Swinney who has a couple national titles, but now his program is struggling because he's not adapting to it. So the coaches that are going to accept it and work with it and figure it out, they're going to be successful. And then the guys who fight it either have retired already or they're going to struggle or they're going to have to make changes. And that's a perfect example. Dabo's the exact example we would go with.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah, so the funny part too about the transfer portal is sometimes guys miss out on things. And I don't have a whole lot to say about this besides that it's just kind of funny. Terrace Reed Jr. was with Michigan for 2 years, and then he went to UConn for 2 years. So his last 4 years, he played for Michigan for 2 years and UConn for 2 years.
Wow.
Michigan and UConn have combined for 3 national championships in the last 4 years. Terrace Reed Jr. has 0.
Wow.
That's almost statistically impossible, right? Because he played with Michigan for 2 years. UConn won both of those national titles. Neither one of them won last year, and then Michigan won this year, and he was with UConn. So he's with the 3 of the 4 last national championships, but missed out on the national championship. That's crazy to me.
If he wants to transfer as a coach, I might be like, listen, you're a good player, but whatever you got going on, we're apparently not going to win the national title if you come to our team. But I almost feel bad for him. But you know what? We talk about the transfer portal. We talk about kids abusing it and jumping ship at the first sign of, anything they don't like. And it's almost like this kid, I don't know why he transferred. I don't know the history of it. But, man, this is a perfect example of a situation where if he would have just stuck it out with Michigan, he would have won a national title this year. Like it's actually really crazy to think that he could jump 2 different schools, just to a different school and miss out on national titles. That I almost feel bad for him, but you know what? If he stuck it out when he had it, he would have had a national title over there. So that is interesting. So it's funny we can laugh about it, but man, that kid's got to be going, man, what the heck?
I know it's just one of those crazy stats that it's almost unbelievable. Like you hear it and you're like, there's no way. That's like it's impossible for that to happen, right? Well, no, it's possible because it happened.
It just did.
But yeah, it just did. So,
that's funny.
Anyways, just a funny thing there too. All right, so that's fun. I'm obviously very, very excited about the fact that Michigan won the national championship. But let's move on to something else here. Well, before we do, let's get into one of the moves that happened for your Raiders, and then we'll get into another kind of a list here. Kirk Cousins,
yes,
of all people, is coming to the Raiders. I don't hate the move. It gives you a solid guy there. Either he's going to play for a year, and obviously it looks like they're going to draft Mendoza, or he can be that mentor. And if you gave me an NFL comp to Francisco Mendoza, I think I would pick Kirk Cousins.
It's funny that you say that because when I look at their game, and it's hard to say because the NFL game is different than the college game, but Mendoza and Cousins have similar looking game styles. So as a Raiders fan, we've been burnt. The Raiders have been burnt in the past by getting these older quarterbacks. You go back to Jay Schrader, came from, at the time was the Redskins. He was good with the Redskins. Then he went to the Raiders, wasn't so good. Jeff George, Colts, the Raiders, wasn't so good. Like the Raiders have a history of picking up older quarterbacks, thinking they have a couple years left, and it doesn't happen. My fear is that they somehow, and I've read a couple articles on this, they pass up on Mendoza. They actually trade their pick down to try to get maybe Ty Simpson from Bama. Not only do they miss out on Mendoza, but something happens and miss out on Simpson as well. And now we're stuck with an older Kirk Cousins who could still have a couple years left in him. But my Raiders and the draft for several years have had problems. And I don't hate Kirk Cousins coming in because I think he can help Mendoza a lot. And I'm kind of excited about it, but I'm also cautious because the Raiders can do things that make you go, what are you thinking? So the fact that I read that they might trade that number 1 pick to try to get a lower pick, possibly to the Browns at 6 to pick up Ty Simpson, concerns me a little bit. Not that I don't think Ty Simpson's a good quarterback, but the Raiders would probably somehow screw all this up, lose Mendoza and Simpson, and end up taking an offensive lineman who never plays or something like that.
Well, one, if they decide to trade that first pick and not get Mendoza, they better know for a fact they are getting another quarterback.
Yeah.
Now, listen, if you don't want to go with Mendoza, I kind of understand. I understand why the Raiders might not go with Mendoza. I get that a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But if you're going to not go with Mendoza to get Ty Simpson, I think that is a huge mistake. Like, I don't know if I can say it loud enough. Like, what are you thinking? Like, that would be stupid to me. Like, what are you doing if that's your reasoning for not taking Mendoza with the first pick? Because you want Ty Simpson? Like, really? Right. Do you think that'd be smart?
Well, it depends on what they would get for that first pick. Like I mean, they need to get somebody for that first pick. Maybe Myles Garrett's a far stretch, but they need a wide receiver. I've heard Stephon Diggs might be interested in the Raiders, but I don't think he's worthy of a first round pick. But that if they're going to give up that, not just a first round pick, the number 1 pick, if they're going to give up the number 1 pick, because Mendoza and Simpson to me are, I don't know. Mendoza just wins, and he does it right, and I think he's really smart. And Simpson's not a bad quarterback. I'm not saying anything about that, but I don't think that you're getting anything different from Simpson than you are Mendoza. It's definitely not an upgrade at all. If anything, I don't know. I'm concerned, but I think you're right. I don't think passing on Mendoza, unless that number 1 pick gets you something so ridiculously huge, Lamar Jackson or something stupid. Okay, that would be the only thing that I would say would have to happen. But I don't think that's going to happen. So you're right. Just take Mendoza, let him learn under Cousins as either a starter or a backup. I'm fine with Mendoza starting as long as Cousins there to mentor him. We'll see how that works out. But man, giving up that number 1 pick seems like they would have to get a lot for it.
Like, if you're going to give up that number 1 pick, you better have a different plan in mind. Like, the only reason I would give up that number 1 pick is if you really just don't think Mendoza's the guy right now, and you want to pick up an offensive lineman, a defensive lineman, or whatever, or you trade down and you get what you want for that pick. I think that's the only reason. I don't think you trade Mendoza. Like, I'm sorry, I don't see it with Ty Simpson. I don't think Ty Simpson is worth trading down to get. You know what I'm saying? Unless for some reason you think they're comparable, but I don't see it. Like, Ty Simpson at the end of the year, I think just kind of went downhill. He wasn't great. I think Alabama fans would tell you the same thing. So I don't get that thing. But if you wanted to trade the number 1 to go down, and you're like, you know what, we're going to go with Kirk Cousins this year, and we're going to hope that next year we can pull off and get that quarterback that we think would be good. And you're going to build your team better that way. If you think you can get more things for trading that number 1 pick, then I think that is a reason, and I think you could sell your fans on that. But if you, like, I honestly right now, like, if you to try and sell your fans, be like, hey, we're not going to take Mendoza, we're going to take Ty Simpson, I think that would be horrible. I think it'd just be horrible, and you have whiffed on so many picks as a Raiders lately. We've talked about this ad nauseum, that it just, you got to do something different than that.
Well, and then you said it, the Raiders' first-round picks have been first pick, whatever it is, has been awful for the last few years. Some of them their fault, some of them off-field stuff. But, I mean, trade to the Browns for the number 1 pick overall, get Myles Garrett, and I might get behind that because now you got Max Crosby and Myles Garrett on the same defensive line, and let's say you take Ty Simpson at 6. I might get behind that because that defensive line would be stupid good. But then again, Kirk Cousins, does he have enough to put points on the board? We'll lose games like Iowa 10-3 or something like that.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, getting to Myles Garrett for the first pick and maybe getting the Browns' first pick for that, I could understand that. But then I think you don't draft a quarterback. I don't think you go and get Ty Simpson. I don't think Ty Simpson's the answer in that spot. Like maybe you try and catch fires with somebody late in the draft. You know what I'm saying? With I don't know who's going to be down there. Then I think you can maybe get that. I could understand that a little bit, but I don't think it's Ty Simpson is the answer for that situation. So I don't know. We'll see what they do there, but it's going to be interesting. The draft is coming up here. I mean, we're about a month away from the draft. But before we get to the draft, something came up, and we've done a really good job here in this offseason of finding things that happen in the world of sports and tied it into football. Listen, I don't follow the WNBA much. I'm not dogging on it. I just don't follow it. I follow a little bit more because Caitlin Clark got in there and all that stuff, and she was kind of fun to watch. But Angel Reese was kind of the bad guy to Caitlin Clark's good guy, right? So is she good? Is she not good? I'm not going to debate about that so much. But she just got traded to the Atlanta Dream team in the the WNBA for 2 first-round picks. 2 first-round picks. We just got done talking about if the Raiders should trade their first-round pick. Angel Reese just got she can't score much. She can rebound. She can't score much. 2 first-round picks. So that just got me thinking.
Okay.
What has been some of the worst trades in NFL history? Because 2 first-round picks for Angel Reese, I think, is just crazy. So, in your opinion, what have been some of the worst NFL trades that you can remember?
Oh, man. I'm sure my Raiders are in there somewhere. I mean, if you're just talking specific trades. I mean, I remember the Broncos traded up to get Tim Tebow. But Tebow wasn't necessarily a total bust. He did lead him, took him to the playoffs and won a playoff. He might have won a playoff game with them. I don't know. Didn't your Bears give up
He did. Yeah, he won in overtime.
I think he won a playoff game, so that wasn't too bad. Your Bears with Rick Meyer out of Notre Dame. They gave up a first-rounder for him. But you know what? Rick Meyer was good in college. So, I don't
know. Bears also traded up one spot to take Mitchell Trubisky in front of Pat Mahomes, and at the time, Deshaun Watson, which we'll talk about Deshaun Watson in a second. But the first one that comes to my mind, and it's a while ago, so Herschel Walker getting traded for like the whole Dallas Cowboys. I mean, right?
That was a while ago, yeah. Well, Herschel Walker
got traded to
the Vikings.
Yeah, but he went. Oh, sorry. But he went to the Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Cowboys traded like their whole team for him, right?
I mean, Walker was pretty good. Don't get me wrong, but he I think he pretty much had his best years with Dallas. I mean, he wasn't bad with the Vikings, but yeah, that's a pretty good one.
The other one with the running back, didn't the New Orleans Saints basically trade their whole draft for Ricky Williams?
Oh, that's right, they did. And Ricky Williams was good, but he just was like, okay, I'm good. He went to the Dolphins, and then he just gave up on football for whatever, for personal reasons.
He'd rather smoke. Well, he'd rather smoke than play football is what it really came down to.
That's
right?
That's true. That's true.
So that one was good. Randy Moss going to the Patriots.
Yeah, did he go from my Raiders, or was that from the Vikings?
I can't remember who he got traded, but I think that whatever the Patriots got for him, it was a fleece. Like that was just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it was my Raiders. It was my Raiders. Or no, that was yeah, it was my Raiders. Patriots got Randy Moss, and the Raiders got like a defensive back you never heard of and a 4th-round pick or something like that. It's awful. I know my Raiders made it on this list a couple times.
Yeah, the other one, probably the biggest one, and it's just happened recently. The Cleveland Browns decided Deshaun Watson was worth it.
Yeah, that didn't. Well, he's still on the roster, right?
Yeah, still on the roster.
He might play this year. Who knows?
They said he has a shot for for position, but holy cow! That's not good. Like Deshaun Watson. I mean, has a guy ever made more money for doing less?
Other than Bobby Bonilla, I don't think so. But that's baseball. So. No,
like whoever's the agent for those two guys, like hit a home run, figuratively
100%.
and like right.
Yeah, your guy's not going to play much at all, but he's going to still collect a paycheck for a long time. Oh, sounds great. Where do I sign?
Right. And the Mets thought they were getting a deal out of it.
Yeah. Is Bobby Bonilla still getting paid, or did that finally stop?
Oh, I think he's still getting paid because we get these happy Bobby Bonilla days, you know.
Yeah, that's right. We get
that still happens.
The notification
yeah.
that he's still getting his millions of dollars.
Happy Bobby Bonilla Day. Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I don't know. Like,
crazy.
So
yeah, we'll see. We'll see what my Raiders do with this, and hopefully they just take Mendoza, work that out. I heard Stephon Diggs might want to come over, so he actually wants to be a Raider. I don't think that's awful. I think he would fit well with the Raiders. I know he's a little bit past his prime, but I think he's still a viable receiver. At least Kirk Cousins has him, Brock Bowers, and Josh Jacobs at running back. The offensive line got better for sure. So at least the offense might be a little more entertaining. So that's all I'm hoping for. Mendoza learned from Cousins for a year, like you said, and then year 2, give it to Mendoza and let him run.
Do you think Stephon Diggs is worth? I know you kind of answered it a little bit, but do you think he's worth the trouble?
It depends on what you get. If we just have to pay money, I wouldn't give up a whole lot for him. But you're right; he has had some issues recently. But I think he kind of fits that Raider mold a little bit. But as long as he's producing on the field, and we don't have to give a ton of stuff up for him, I think it would be decent for Kirk to have him this year, and then maybe Mendoza 1 year next year. And then see what happens after that. And then maybe we'll pick up somebody in the draft next year. Who knows, get lucky this year and grab somebody late. Because Raiders have like 6 picks this year.
Yeah, so Stephon Diggs, that's the thing. Like, obviously he was welcome at Minnesota.
Yeah.
He didn't mesh well with Josh Allen in Buffalo. He went to the Patriots, and he had a decent year this year, right?
Yeah.
Didn't really hear much about any problems with anything, but why did the Patriots not want him anymore? Like, why did they get rid of him? Like, if we didn't hear things, we understood why he left Minnesota. We understood why he left Buffalo.
Right.
But it was kind of a shock on why he left New England. So do you think there was some behind it, or do you think it just really came down to money?
See, I don't know, because you never know, because we didn't hear a lot of, like you said, we didn't hear a lot about it, but he is getting up there. But he had a decent year. I mean, they went to the Super Bowl with the Patriots, so they were just kind of done with him maybe. So maybe the Raiders could pick him up for cheap. But if he's got problems in the locker room, we don't really need that with a new quarterback coming in, new coach, all that stuff. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, Kirk Cousins needs somebody at wide receiver to kind of help that offense out a little bit.
Yeah, it's undeniable that obviously Stephon Diggs has some talent there. So it's just, sure. Is there something going on? Is it worth the trouble? I don't know. Right. So, but yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, all eyes are on the oh my gosh.
I wish they were
the
Oakland.
Las Vegas Raiders.
I'll never correct you if you say Oakland. I'll just roll with it.
Yeah, it's going to be the same with like when the Oakland A's. Well, and they're not even the Oakland A's anymore; they're just the Athletics. Right. When they end up in Vegas, but it's going to be interesting. All eyes are on them. You know, they got the first pick in the draft. You know, what are they going to do with it? Are they going to keep it? Are they going to, trade it? Like where are we at with this? You know, what are we going to do here? And I think everybody's kind of. I think all, they say all eyes, but like. Nothing can really happen until the Raiders make up their mind on what they're going to do.
Right.
And I mean, there's no indication on what they're going to do yet. I mean, it looks like they're going to keep their pick. Just what do they do with it? It'll be interesting. We'll know here in about a month.
It's all speculation right now, but that's the anticipation with the Raiders up there is you just don't know what's going to happen. If it was another team, you'd just be like, okay, they're taking Mendoza. We're going to move on to picks 2 through 30. The rest of them, But with the Raiders, it's like, oh man, who knows? And all these articles now are messing with my head. Like the Raiders might go off the wall and do something crazy, and it's believable. That's the problem. It's believable.
It's that same thing that like I did it too with Michigan being in the national championship for basketball. They were playing so well. Yeah. You go from like, oh, there's no way we can lose to wait a minute, we can lose. Oh, wait a minute, they're playing UConn. UConn's this juggernaut. Yeah. They can't lose, right? And all this stuff. It's like that. It's almost like I'm not making fun or light of anything. Like when somebody goes to rehab, it's all those 7 steps of things they have to go through in order to get through it. It's like, it's the same thing as a sports fan. It's like, no, this is what they're going to do, and I'm all on board for it. But wait a minute, they might do this. Okay. And then you get your head around it, and you're like, then you start to believe in it, and you're like, this is great. They should do this. This is exactly what they should do. I wish I would have come up with this idea myself. Yeah. And then you hear something else, and you're like, wait a minute, this is the dumbest thing they could do. It's especially come this off season here, especially with the team that needs to do something to make their team better. I think you're talking about it right now with the Raiders. I think you're in that boat right now.
Right, because the Raiders are so bad right now that they have to make crucial decisions with this pick. And yes, do we want the number 1 pick? Yes, sometimes you do, but only if you're going to make it work for you. And the Raiders haven't made great choices for their first-round picks for the last several years. I mean, the Leatherwood guy was a bust. Henry Ruggs had off the field problems. I mean, you can go back to Jamarcus Russell, but I think Mendoza is a safe pick. He's got the build. He's got the skills. He's very smart from what I hear. He's very coachable. I think he's the guy sitting behind Kirk Cousins for a year, maybe 2, to learn and get him a weapon out there. And I think the Raiders can move in the right direction. I'm hoping.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. Like I said, we got about a month to go here before we jump into that. A lot of good stuff coming up. The basketball transfer portal opens up, and it's only 2 weeks. It's going to be a frenzy here.
It's crazy
coming up. So a lot of stuff coming up. I'm sure we'll come back next week and talk about some more stuff. I'm still going to be on a high because Michigan won the national championship until another major sport happens. I'm flying high right now. So, I'm definitely going to ride this out. So we'll come back next week. We'll talk more. Maybe we'll go through some of the mock drafts as we start to kind of narrow down here on the draft a little bit. And, maybe we'll have some more Raiders news or, maybe not. Who knows? We'll see what's coming up. But we'll come back next week, talk more. Until then, I'm Adam.
I'm Tony. Thanks for listening.
You have been listening to the Two Bald Guys Sports Podcast with Adam and Tony. Don't forget to check out our partnership with Happy Nuts.